Not sure what happened there, but what's up? It's
You
that
can
kind of
tell
day,
we've been
isn't it?
away. We have been
It's
away
that
for a
kind
while.
of day. We gotta act like we've been here before, but yeah, no, it's all good. It's we're not gonna let that stop us. What's up, everybody? Yeah, what's going on? Welcome to
Man,
the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Mr. Cincinnati. This is the podcast dad. How you doing, buddy?
I am sicker than dog. Hopefully, I don't sound too bad. I will be popping halls throughout the entire show, but I am excited to talk wrestling because boy, did a lot happen since we have last spoken.
Yeah, and let me just get this out of the way now.
That's right. I was right because CM Punk is back in the WWE. Called it. When you said no, I said, yeah.
You did. You did. That's fine. Congratulations. Would you want a cookie or?
Thank you. No, I have my cookie right here, my world champion.
Hey, that's fair. I know that new belt glow. It's fine.
Yes.
Anyway, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. If you're new to our channel, welcome. If you are a long-time listener, welcome back. Yeah, we've been out. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Like Chris said, there has been a lot that has happened since we were on last week, and it does feel like forever and a day. So let's just get right on into it. Survivor Series 2023 is in the books, and I mean it's up there as WWE's best show of the year, and we've been saying that about a lot of their shows this year. But I think this one, they might have actually, they might have a case for it this year. This one was off the charts. I mean, this had a big fight feel. I mean, Survivor Series is kind of the low man on the totem pole when it comes to the big four shows. I think a lot of people would say, but it did not feel that case this year. 2 War Games matches, a couple of returns. Without further ado, buddy, I mean, let's just get into it. I mean, I don't think that I need to do much more to hype this up. Everybody knows what happened here. We're late to the ball talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I want to rewind just a little bit. I think Triple H has done a very good job. Like you said, it was kind of the last place of the big four. I think adding War Games to Survivor Series makes this feel like such a big deal now. Like Survivor Series is going to be a must watch show moving forward because of War Games. They added a very good gimmick to it. You were right about War Games, so I will give you your due. But I think Triple H has done a very good job of making this now something that's important, making Survivor Series fun again and must watch. They've taken away that brand versus brand aspect that just never really worked. And if every year you get a War Games match at Survivor Series, who's going to complain about that? Like, I don't think it's going to be watered down in any level, as long as they don't create a pay per view for War Games, kind of like they did with Hell in a Cell and TLC and all that good stuff. But if this is the gimmick for Survivor Series, I think it's perfect. And I think he really, really did a good job and found a winning gimmick match for this pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say that, this is the second year that War Games has been part of Survivor Series. There is no reason to take it away. I mean, if the right story is there, then yes, include it in War Games match. If not, don't try to force it like they would with a TLC or a Hell in a Cell or any of the other gimmick named pay-per-views. I mean, case in point, last year there was only one War Games match, and it involved the Bloodline, biggest story in the company at the time. There were 2 last year. I do this every year,
Yeah.
don't I? Yeah.
Damage Control was in one
Okay.
last year.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Well, either way, I think, yes, again, if the right story is there, absolutely do War Games. Don't force it if it's not. But yeah, let's get right on into it. Team Bianca Belair defeats Team Damage Control. Team Belair, headed up obviously by the EST, joined with Shotzi, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, taking on Asuka, Bayley, Kairi Sane, Io Sky. I mean, can I just start by saying Io Sky and War Games, like that is her match now. Okay.
Yeah.
5 War Games matches, more than any other WWE superstar in history, and it really doesn't even feel like it. So when Cole said that Saturday night, I was blown away. Obviously, Bianca and Becky have experience in it. Charlotte, this is her first War Games match, first match, for a lot of those women in there. Why don't you kick us off? What do you think?
Yeah, it was crazy when he did say that. Like, she's been in every women's War Games. That's such a weird. I don't know. It's her match. So like you said it perfectly. Yeah. Everybody's gonna say the spot of the night was her coming off the top with the trash can. we've seen that in NXT. It's not my spot of the night. My spot of the night was Kairi Sane with the spinning back fist with the trash can lid to Shotzi, because that was brutal,
Yeah.
and that was just
Yeah.
that was an amazing spot. No, this was really really good. I think both war games were very good. I didn't love the aspect of the faces having the advantage. I think that's a little bit harder to pull off than the heels having the advantage. But overall, I think,
Yeah.
great spots. They worked very hard. Nobody felt out of place. Like, I was worried about maybe Shotzi kind of feeling out of place on that mega team with Bianca and Charlotte and Becky, but
Especially after last year.
yes, yes, like that was a big redemption for her to be in a very good match following that very bad match last year. And yeah, I can't say enough good words about it. It was really good. It didn't feel like it was very long. It had its time. It had its spots. I don't know if the right team won, but we can debate that.
Yeah, and yeah, let's get into that. To your point, as far as the faces having the advantage for the women's match this year was determined by a fan vote in conjunction with a Ruffle sponsorship. If anything, that says that hey, WWE is not going to gimmick the results of it, because they could have very easily, because they've admitted in the past that they could exactly. But I'm just going to chalk it up to that. I think that if you leave it up to the fans, that's what they're going to want to see. So no issue with it in that respect, given the fact that there were marketing stakes involved in it. Overall, I agree. I think everybody looked great in this match. There wasn't anything that was super just like, oh, I wish they could have had that moment back, which was great. I liked that Dakota had some involvement, but it was minimal, just a kendo stick spot, and then helped Io set up the trash can spot at the top. I think the biggest takeaway from this is Bayley took the pinfall and took everybody's finisher.
She was the MVP. I mean, she was the MVP of this match. She had a really, really good match. I cannot wait to see face Bayley, because it's I don't know if it's long overdue, but it's been a while since we've seen it. She did a great job as a heel. I think better than anybody else could have ever expected she would do as a heel. And I think the face turn with the Edge, kind of like what we've been saying, it's gonna be really, really good.
Yeah, definitely. And before we move on to the next match, I just want to ask you this: do you think that this Bayley heel run would have had the same impact if there were no Thunderdome involved? Had we just been, had this been normal WWE, or what do you think?
That's a tough question. Hindsight being 2020, I'm sure it probably would have been as good. I don't know if we would have gotten as much character work from Bayley as we did with the empty arena, where we could hear literally everything, right? So
Yeah.
I think that benefited her from trying a bunch of new stuff out without crowd reaction or any crowd chants of hey, we want some Bayley or anything like that. But when you talk about MVPs, like, she's one of the MVPs of the COVID era, and she was the MVP of this match. And I'm ready for Bayley to get back into that women's main event title picture scene and kind of stick there, kind of like a Charlotte and a Becky. I think she's kind of been a background player for the last year and a half. So I'm excited to see this reemergence of Bayley.
Yeah. Have we seen a proper Bayley versus Charlotte feud?
I think so. I think when she was the hugger, we saw one. Then
Okay.
wasn't that who Bayley beat for the
Oh
title?
yeah, there's a women's championship.
Yeah, to win her first.
Okay. All right, but not necessarily this
No.
iteration of Bayley and Charlotte. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, just because like when you think about and they always reference it, all the history of the horsewomen, the fact that we got 3 of those 4 in this match, you can't help but as you watch them in war games, like look at the evolution and maturation of those 3 since they got called up to the main roster, and just kind of we knew that these women were the future, but then to see them back it up and just kind of look at, holy cow, here's where they have been and where they came from. It's just so awesome to see.
Yeah.
And what better way to see that other than in war games.
Thank you, Stephanie McMahon, for saving women's wrestling.
Thank you, Stephanie McMahon, for inventing women's wrestling.
Yes. She was the catalyst.
Yeah. Next up, Gunther defeats The Miz by submission to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Excuse me, I'm starting to sound Johnny Van Frank there.
Hey.
Buddy.
Hey now.
check
Be
the tape.
nice.
All right, check
Be
the tape.
nice.
I'm being nice. It's I'll see him this week. It's fine. I don't know how much more we need to say about this. Gunther is final boss ready for the main event scene. Like that. Just I don't know what more he needs to do. I think that he is, at least for me, right now he's my pick to win the Rumble.
I would have said that before the show. Definitely. We'll get into that a little later.
Okay. Let's hear it.
No, this was a really good match.
Oh, yeah.
I think Gunther's at that point where like he makes anybody in the ring look fantastic. And that is just a testament to him, the work that he's put in, and the fact that you can say he's almost at a Danielson level where it's like you put him in there with anybody and it's going to be a good match. I mean, he had a good match on SmackDown with Riddick Moss. I mean,
yeah,
nothing against Riddick Moss, but that guy was nothing. And then all of a sudden had a great main event match with Gunther. Like he is just, he's got to be in the discussion for Wrestler of the Year. He has been so good. Yes, he feels like that final boss. The Intercontinental Champion feels like a world champion. And yeah, I this match was good. And going into it, I was not excited for it, but I think I probably underestimated Gunther a little bit, and maybe I underestimated The Miz because The Miz looked pretty good, and he got some good crowd reaction, and a couple stats that I had written down that Cole had mentioned during the entrance. I don't know if you heard, is that if The Miz won, he would break Chris Jericho's record as most Intercontinental title reigns. They said Chris Jericho's name on WWE. Take that, Tony Khan. Just kidding. And then,
man, our inbox is okay.
And then Gunther's only reign as Intercontinental Champion is going to be longer than the Miz's 8 reigns as champion combined. Like it's just crazy. It's crazy. He is by far the greatest Intercontinental Champion ever. He hasn't been pinned since he's been on the main roster. That is Triple H's like, this is the guy, and this is going to be my guy moving forward. And it's just, I'm ready for it. I can't wait.
And I've got 2 points to follow up with. First one to Miz, because Triple H acknowledged in the press conference, whatever you need Miz to do, he knows how to do. He is, you hear Triple H talk about, okay, if he could build a sports entertainer from the ground up, he would look like Randy Orton. Miz also has to be in that category too, because of everything that he can do. It's, WWE franchises, reality shows. You need him to go do the press and stuff. He's got the, he's got the punchable face with a beautiful family, like all of that stuff, and how he carries himself. He is a guy that's very clearly living his dream. He exudes that. That can't be overlooked because, again, we weren't really buying into Miz as a number one contender going into this match, but this was a damn good match from The Miz. And we don't necessarily get technical masterpieces or classics that that you're going to remember. The only other one I would probably say for Miz this year was that match with Seth Rollins on Raw. Like, the fact that you can get those moments out of him when you need them speaks volumes for their faith in him, their continued faith in his place on the card. I mean, that just can't be overstated or overlooked. And then Gunther, again, as we go into 2024, it's going to be an epic year for him. And let's not also forget, of the entire time that he's been, signed with WWE, there have only been 75 days where he hasn't held a championship. When crazy. Are you going to see something like that again? Like, when are you going to see something like that again?
Yeah, that's an insane stat.
That's longer than Kim Kardashian's marriage to Chris Humphries, by the way.
Wow. All right, everybody's going to get that reference.
I know.
Great pull there, Mr. Cincinnati. Yeah, like Miz, I'll use a baseball term. Like Miz is like just the greatest utility player ever. Anything you ask, like you said, anything you ask him to do, he can do it. He can play multiple positions. He can be the face. Maybe not as great as you want him to, but he got the crowd behind him for this face run. He can be that smarmy heel. He can be the cocky heel. He can be the obnoxious heel. He can be that. He main evented he won in the main event of WrestleMania. Like, not everybody can say that. Like there's a select few
against
people.
John Cena.
Yes, he pinned John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania. And no one can take that away from him. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I underestimated. I think we underestimated. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah, it was a solid performance. It was a really really good match, and out of the 3 non-War Games matches, it was easily the best one.
For sure. Before we move on to the next match, just kind of a quick synopsis of what do you see for Gunther in 2024?
Man, I was gonna say challenging Seth at Mania, but again, other things have come to light.
Plans change, pal.
You're gonna have to give me some time to think about that because maybe they just continue this Intercontinental title run and he just keeps running through people and really cements himself as just the greatest Intercontinental champion ever, and then hopefully we get that Ilya match that we all really want because they can tear it up together, and that's the guy to beat him, and then Gunther can go and be in the main event scene. But that would be my dream, is that Ilya comes up and they have a feud, and I'd be great.
Yeah. I think for me, so long as Gunther continues to be as present on TV as he is, I have no problem if this is a 2 or 3 year reign with the Intercontinental Championship. If that is if he is the true workhorse and has, built up this final boss aura about him and he's still on TV all the time and he's had this title for 2 or 3 years, that I'm totally good with because, he's just credible as a champion in that respect.
They're trying to rewrite history books, so I could definitely see it.
No. Let's have some fun. Next up, Santos Escobar defeated Dragon Lee, who replaced Carlito in this match. Great Lucha Libre outing. There was nothing that I objectively disliked about this match or anything like that. It's kind of curious that they would announce Carlito in the first place when they could have just made this Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar because we had seen the great match between Lee and Axiom last week on SmackDown. Why not just go with this since the crowd seems to be buying into Dragon Lee?
Yeah, Dragon Lee got a really good reaction for his entrance. I think people were happy to see him. Yeah, this was a match that I feel like probably could have happened on SmackDown, and I wouldn't have been upset. Like I'm happy it happened on a big 4 pay-per-view, and Santos is getting that exposure. But this wasn't anything like special. I think the match with Axiom was better than what we saw here, but. How much better would a match with Carlito have been? I don't know. We haven't seen Carlito wrestle in a while, so I don't know how great.
Or at least not a singles match on pay-per-view.
Yeah, so I don't know how great that would have been. Yeah, this match was fine. I didn't think it was anything special. I'm glad Santos got the win because I think they need to continue this heel character for him. I think he is getting a lot of heat. I think he could be a top player on SmackDown now that they don't have any titles on the show. So that could be something fun.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we shall see. But especially if he's going to challenge Mysterio and have it be a credible, whether it's at the Rumble or Perth or something like that.
I saw something. I think it might have been Ray who said it. Was it Ray? I'll have to go look. But somebody said Santos and Dominic versus Ray and Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. So
I'm not mad at that.
I'm good.
I am not mad at that one bit.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, love that. Next match, we've got Rhea Ripley defeating Zoe Stark to retain the Women's World Championship. I don't think that any of us really thought that Rhea's title reign was in danger. She's a part of the biggest act in the company right now, and if anybody's going to lose their titles first, it's going to be one of her male counterparts. It sure as hell ain't going to be her.
Nope. And again, this match was didn't really do much for me. Look at this. Look at this ad placement. Good for you. Just adding stuff in there.
Don't acknowledge
Proud
it.
Of you.
Just
proud of you.
Wasn't trying to make it a thing, but you did.
Come on. I'm the podcast ad. I have to make it a thing. I have to embarrass you. Right. It's my job. Yeah, like
okay. No, you don't.
This is the
You
problem
don't.
we've had with Rhea's reign is there is no credible challengers. Nobody thought she was going to lose this match. This match wasn't like I don't want to say it wasn't good. Like it was fine. It wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
There was a few spots in there that kind of looked a little sloppy. I think Zoe Stark could be something really, really fun on the main roster, but build her up a little bit more, make it a little bit more believable, which is really hard to do when the next night she loses the Nia Jax. So
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. I don't know what the direction is with Rhea and the women's champion. Hopefully it's Becky, but Mania is still months and months away. So this kind of feels like the Dean Ambrose United States title run, where he's just the champion and there's just no challengers. So I don't know. At this point, I'm like, does Rhea even need the championship? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, that might be up for a larger debate as we, especially as we see how this build to the Rumble goes, since they've officially started that last night on Raw. Before we kind of move on to the next match, I just wanted to point out, I'm very surprised. We saw Cody declare his entrance for the Royal Rumble. There were several women involved throughout the night, and not a single one voiced their intention or desire to qualify for the Rumble or try to challenge Rhea Ripley.
Well, we still have time. I mean, the Rumble's like 60 days away.
I know that it is, but if they're going to start it with the men's, why not create that same intention and desire for either of your champions? And because that's kind of what we're saying about this build to Rhea is like, why not? Who knows? Maybe next week Becky will come out and declare her intentions. It's just like I said, something I noticed last night.
That's fair.
But let's get into this main event, dude.
This was good.
Team Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre on Judgment Day.
This was good.
I don't know where the hell to begin. I don't know where to begin.
I also called it, and I thought they teased the cash in.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I know.
Whatever.
I know.
Getting the graphic
I know
twice.
where I want to.
You're not getting it twice.
Where I want to start. Randy Orton is jacked.
Floor is yours. Like you kind of do the double, dude. Like, what have you been eating? Yeah.
Well, when he came out, I'm like, is that Randy Orton? Because he is like, he looked like he ate Randy Orton. Like he is huge.
Yeah,
good for him.
Yeah, I mean that is a great sign. Because I know that you were worried about him returning in War Games, given the type of injury he's coming back from, and whether that would be, a hindrance to his performance. And it really wasn't. I mean, he was slotted in as the fifth man. So as the match begins, he's not taking all of the bumps of those 34 minutes of that match. Came in, looked great. There was the vintage DDT spots all around.
It was so good to see him back.
Dude, it like, I don't know. It's hard to believe it's been a year and a half without Randy Orton, but now there's just something about that roster now, knowing that he's back and that he's there. Made JD McDonough look like $1 million with that RKO spot. Like it just,
No, it was, and he looked genuinely happy to be back, right? Like with his entrance, he was smiling. He was shaking his head. He looked genuinely happy to be back in the ring. After all the cameras went off and everybody got out of the ring. And after Phil came back, he was walking back, and I guess he flashed to the crowd 10 more years, which, man,
I'd love it.
If you're going to come back looking like that, then that's cool. Like, you can come back 10 more years.
Yeah.
You're right. It feels like, it almost feels like they just signed a free agent, like a huge free agent star. But they didn't.
Yeah.
He came back from injury, and it adds another layer to just every storytelling that they have, because yes, he has that history with Jey Uso, even though he said they're cool, they're not cool. That's not Randy Orton.
It's
come on.
I mean, I don't know. He eventually came around to Matt Riddle.
Okay. That's not Matt Riddle didn't take a year and a half of his career.
I know. I'm just saying.
Speaking of Matt Riddle, did you see his tweet?
Easy. Oh yeah. We'll come back to it. Any other performances in War Games that you want to point out? I mean, lot of great moments. I don't think that we thought this match would disappoint.
No, not at all. One of the things too, and I guess two of the things, like every time a babyface came out, they got their own unique reaction, right? So Cody coming out first, got the huge pop. It's Cody Rhodes. He's in a War Games match finally. First time. This is really cool. Jay comes out. He gets on top of that little cell and is doing this, and the whole crowd is doing it. Like he's over. Sami Zayn comes out. Everybody loves Sami Zayn. And then obviously when Orton comes out, it's madness. And it's just that match was really good. I really like what they did with Seth Rollins too. I forgot the world champion. When he comes out, everybody sings the song still, and he's the workhorse of the match. But I really like that Randy came out and they went like boom, 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 done. I like that. Like it was like Randy's back. He's here to mess up some people. He did it. Match is over.
Get it. Yeah, go home.
Send everybody home happy with just finisher galore. Yeah, that was a really fun War Games. Really was.
One final question for you before we move on to the bigger topic of Survivor Series. Are you officially bought into main event Jey Uso as a top single star in Raw?
Not yet.
Okay.
I need
to see this match help you get a little bit closer? Okay.
I mean, I think next week's going to have some stuff to prove, but this was still technically a tag match. I need him to have a singles program by himself, like not attached to the bloodline, I guess. And that whole story with Drew was a little weird. He's like, all I want to do is get him locked in the cage, and then I can just beat him up. Like, didn't you face him on the main event of Raw on the go home? It's weird. It's weird booking. Like
but no disqualifications. No,
Okay, like you still had him 1-on-1 in the ring, and you beat him. Like, what's your deal, Drew? Like,
sometimes you just want more.
I don't know. Just if I'm ranking like main event talent on that show right now, like when you got Seth and Randy and Sammy and Cody and Drew and a Priest and now a Punk, then I kind of get to Jay. And that's 8. So like
that's fair.
I think Jay's gonna have to hit a couple more levels and have some great singles matches before I can completely buy into him. Because do you see him winning the title anytime soon? There's no way.
Maybe not in 2024. No.
I don't know ever.
I wouldn't say never to that. I wouldn't say never to that.
Speaking of never saying never, how about that transition? You popped.
Well, here's the thing. So my brother forgot that I was at the UC game and did not watch live. So he texted me and just said Punk is back. So I knew before I even got to watch it. So there was no.
I was good. I didn't say anything.
You were fantastic. Yeah. So I did not get the benefit of getting to enjoy the surprise, but I have gone back and watched the clip itself. I mean, it is a sight to behold, man. I mean, it is a
that roar, man. That roar from the crowd
it was,
when that came on.
Guttural.
What a moment. I mean, that's a moment.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's one of their most viewed social media moments ever.
Yeah.
It's and rightfully so. Look, I mean, I let's be. I mean, I have had no shortage of things to say about Pepsiville during this year. I am not surprised.
I am.
I just didn't think it would. I didn't think it would happen.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it came together quickly. It sounds like people have mended fences or discussions have been had to try to nudge in that direction. So that's good. It will be interesting to see what Punk does. I know that I've been very vocal, but as always with anything related to wrestling, I keep an open mind about it. And yes, there were some backstage issues that have led to my frustrations and my voice, my voicings of things with CM Punk. I get this. Why are you smiling like that?
Just smiling. I'm allowed to smile. Am I not allowed to smile?
I feel like you're trying to tell me.
I'm not trying to tell you anything.
I don't appreciate.
I'm not trying to tell you anything. I just no.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Beep, beep, beep. Backpedaling like a DB, man.
I'm not backpedaling. I said what I said. I'm not sorry that I said it. All that I'm saying is it will be interesting to see how this goes. Sounds like according to reports, it's positive so far. There might be some people that are unhappy with him, which it's okay. You can't please them all, but there's so much to get into with
We don't
this.
have enough time, but real quick,
We have like
okay,
10 minutes
because I do want
We have
to
10
talk about
minutes.
the promo last night.
Yeah,
I hated it.
I wasn't crazy about it either. I mean, of his 3 return promos, that was my least favorite.
Well, yeah, because it was just recycled from his other ones. I didn't like that at all. If that was weird.
But and I'm not disagreeing with you, but there is the little line he threw in at the end that was just to the camera, not on the mic, of here for the money.
Yep.
And Seth Rollins pointed out hypocrisy earlier in his promo. If there's one thing that WWE has been doing the last year plus, it is slow burn storytelling. That's exactly what this is going to be. There's a lot of time between Survivor Series and the Rumble. You pointed out the 60 days to get ready. So there's breadcrumbs that can be left while keeping these guys far apart and then seeing what happens at WrestleMania next year. Now, you already alluded to it. So it sounds like, and you don't have to lock in your prediction now, but it sounds like you think Punk is the favorite to win the Rumble. Fair enough?
Yeah. I don't know. It definitely throws like another variable into it. I mean,
yeah,
that's a way he gets to Seth Rollins for sure. Or does that
Sure.
match have the championship? I don't know, but it's if Seth's the champion at WrestleMania, I'm going to assume CM Punk is going to be his opponent. If he's not the champion, I'm going to assume CM Punk is going to be his opponent. So it just depends on whether he has the title or not. Like, if he does, then Punk's probably going to win the Rumble. If not, we're going to see a different story told. But like, I think Seth and Punk are penciled in for the Rumble, and not even penciled. I would Sharpie that in. So,
as far as them one-on-one, or you're saying Rumble winner gets the world title?
No, I think Seth and Punk with the world title, without the world title, is going to happen at WrestleMania. That's your match.
Okay, gotcha. All right. I thought you said. Okay. No. I mean, and at this point, we again a lot to kind of get into with this return. My next question for you is this CM Punk's absolute last chance in a major wrestling promotion?
Yes, this is it. Okay. He's what, 44 years old?
40, yeah.
This is his swan song. This is because the reports are saying it's a multi-year deal.
Yep.
And WWE is just going to go, hey, you don't want to work? You're going to sit out the rest of your deal. So let's say it's a 3-year deal. He'll be 47. AEW's not taking him back. There's no way Tony Khan would take him back.
Especially not as long as whoever else besides Bryan Danielson was in that disciplinary committee that elected to have him terminated. I mean, the fact that Danielson had a say in that's I mean, the fact that any wrestlers had a say in that's pretty massive.
Like, AEW's not going to take him back. If it doesn't work with WWE, like, where else is it going to go? Impact? That's not.
I mean, they were the next company in the running, apparently.
Yeah, sure. Like, that's not going to do anything though. Like, not everybody's going to see him. Like, this is it. Like, this is the major stage. You get to finish your career on a high note. So this is going to be a huge test for him. The picture of him and Triple H pointing at each other was just
like, it still looks photoshopped.
Yeah, I would have bet probably my left leg that I would have never seen that. Like, it was just, yeah. I mean, the moment it hit too, like the record scratch, it was just, yeah, I was
done.
I popped. Heather looked at me like I was insane. Like, that's CM Punk. And she's like, yeah, like, he's back. Where did he go? Don't worry about it. But it was just like, I'm interested to see what happens, because the promo last night felt pretty neutered. It wasn't, I don't think it was the pipe bomb everybody expected. The I'm home line was like, made me throw up in my mouth, because that That's
It's the hypocrisy.
but maybe this is, and maybe we're giving, I don't know, maybe it's part of the storyline of, hey, I tried to kill you guys in another company, but I the only way I can come in and kill you guys is inside out, like put a lethal injection of poison. Then Vince McMahon comes out
Get called back.
and he's
Yeah.
Punk's manager.
Oh,
But like, there's just a lot that you can do with Punk. I don't want to see him wrestle every week. I don't need to see him wrestle besides PLEs. I don't need to see that. I think he can work that Roman Reigns schedule. I don't need to see him on Raw. Like, if I see him on Raw, let it be a promo. I think that sells enough. Like, I don't need to see him wrestling all the time.
I get it.
But yeah, it's like, I mean, think of all the like there's a storyline built in itself with Roman and Punk with Paul Heyman, and there's just a lot. There's gonna be a lot. I got a big question for you now, though.
Always.
With Punk now in WWE, do you think this hinders their chances of signing any of the major AEW talent? Obviously, an MJF or a Ricky Starks or somebody like that. Like, do you think this now hurts them because they're like, oh, we've dealt with him in our locker room? I don't know.
I don't think it does, because it kind of goes back to what we initially heard when we were hearing the rumors that Punk was in talks with WWE. That shit he pulled in AEW is not going to fly in a WWE locker room. All right, you're going to do that in front of Triple H. You're going to do that in front of Nick Khan. You're going to do that in front of board of directors. Are you going to put yourself in a position where you're going to fumble your bag again with the biggest wrestling company on the planet? I just don't think that he will.
Okay.
That's not to say, I mean, anything can happen in the WWE. It's said all the time, but so is never say never. So I think that it's more likely than not that Punk remains on his best behavior here. Like you said, I think that there is an idea that he knows that this is his final chance. And I mean, let's be honest. This is a 50-plus year company. This is a conglomerate. Tony Khan is still new as far as being a wrestling promoter. Okay. Prior to this, yes, he is part of the family that owns the Jaguars, but I don't know how much he was actually doing inside the locker room for that team to manage those personalities. So I just see this being a very, very different neutered situation. There's many more producers and writers and things that you kind of have to go through in order to get things done in WWE. But yeah, I would say no, just because if you look at, if let's say I'm an AEW star, if I, on one hand, it's like, oh shit, I gotta be in the same locker room with Phil again. On the other hand, Cody Rhodes.
Yep. Yeah.
Like if I know that I have that star potential and they see that in me, I'm gonna go chase that and not worry about it.
Yeah, and it's that's the ultimate test, right? Like, if Cody signs off on it and says, "Hey, he's cool," like, I think a lot of people are going to go, "Yeah, we're on board." And it's kind of, it's interesting to see, like, the major departures from each company. Like, you have Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and Jade from AEW, who I think we all thought were going to be megastars for that company that are now back.
Mm-hmm.
Could we see more of that? Could we see more of the people that went over to kind of go help AEW come back and be that much bigger in WWE? It's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. Even though he's not involved in the day-to-day anymore, I think Mick Foley said it recently. I think it was around these the last wave of releases that we had, but he's, there was always an adage for people that was released. 3 words of advice he would give: prove Vince wrong. It's no different now that Triple H is in charge. Okay, the guy, if you want to be the girl, if you want to be a player in WWE and have to go away to make that happen, prove them wrong. Make them believe that it was a mistake to let you go. Swerve Strickland is doing that very well right now.
And he's already turned down an offer.
Yeah.
So, that's it'll be fascinating to see. One final question, and then we can stop talking about Phil, because we're going to be talking about him a lot, I think, here moving forward. You think AJ comes back in the Rumble?
Can't rule it out.
Please.
You really can't. I mean, that's
please.
that was definitely intentional. I mean, when you think about the fact that we could get AJ Lee back, we could get Mickey James back, hell, we could get Mercedes Moné back. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't rule that out now. I mean, look at Triple H and his ability to help rebuild relationships between wrestlers in WWE. Ultimate Warrior, Bruno Sammartino, CM Punk. At this point, everybody's out there.
That's a great point with his ability to kind of mend fences. Like, I don't think there's anyone that won't be on the table to ever come back at this point. Now that we saw Punk come back, like after the lawsuit, after everything that was said, it's like the one person I don't ever see coming back is Ryback. So,
oh hell no. Well, he's retired anyway.
Oh man, we never got our Ryback Goldberg match, so that's tough.
We'll get by. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Wrestling Junkies podcast. Remember to hit that QR code in the top left corner. Like, share, subscribe. Help us to get those numbers up. Got a couple of great new interviews coming up in the next couple of weeks, so we can't wait to drop for you guys. New episodes of Stump the Smart are coming soon, we promise. Thanks for sticking with us. We're into December, this final year. We're going to start talking about some year-end shows and talking about the best ofs of both companies. So yeah, be on the lookout for some great content. As always, thank you so much for the podcast, Dad. I'm Mr. Cincinnati. This has been the Wrestling Junkies podcast, and we'll talk to you guys soon.